where the reds and the greens come together, it's right here. Just kind of a weaker area, but it's been getting a little bit closer and a little bit stronger winds going away from the radar site and coming toward it in a small area. So this is Kensett Road right here. This is south of Bald Knob. This has been moving almost due east. It might even be moving east-southeast. And so this is the area of concern. Here's Searcy. Searcy, you're on the back side of this. But there it is. The next scan looks a little more impressive to me. So if you're in this area, and I'm going to back out just a little bit, but if you're in this area out to the east of Kensett right now and headed over into that part of White County, I need you to get into the lowest spot in your house, and we're going to continue to watch this, but I'll just show you that it's not over to the White River, but Woodruff County, you would be next in line for this storm. A tornado-warned storm with the tail end of it right there exhibiting some rotation. And so that's what we're watching as it moves off to the east. I'll get some more details on that. And then we'll also be watching the other storm that's down to the south of that. Again, we said this is moving into a little more conducive territory for just vertical development, just the storm getting a lot bigger. And as that happens, then it gets to tap into some wind up above that is a little more troubling. And we're also going to be watching this storm down around Cabot. I don't see much with it right now as far as the velocity is concerned, and that's good, but we're going to watch that storm. And the one up to the north of it, there are two that are kind of splitting off there. The tornado-warned storm, I'll back out here and show you the perspective. It's well off to the northeast of Little Rock. It's from eastern White County over into Woodruff County. This storm will cross the White River soon. And the velocity product is really our important part of this storm. There is wind coming away from the radar side at a rather good clip. The inflow is not maybe quite as strong, but it's in a very small area, and where the greens and the reds match up there and they get a little bit brighter, we call that a couplet, and that's where there's rotation inside the storm. You can look at the rainfall and being wrapped around a circulation center, but to really see if a storm is rotating, you need the velocity product here. And this is why Doppler radar is so great. It can show you exactly where it is. So if you're in that area, this is south of Highway 64, moving in that area, you've got to get into that lowest spot in your house, the most interior spot, away from exterior walls and windows. A little bit larger perspective here, we're going to be looking at another severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued, this big yellow box right here, and this is for the hail core of this storm, but that's not the rotating part of the storm. It's this little appendage that hangs down from the bottom, and that's what we always look for in storms like this. This is in effect, I'm going to get some information on it here. It's in effect until 11 o'clock. The movement on it is east at 20 miles an hour. So it's not exactly moving at a very rapid clip, but it's moving some small communities there, a largely rural area, but plenty of folks living in the path of that as you head over toward the White River. I'm going to put this into motion over the last few frames. Yeah, the rotation really has tightened up some there, and I'll show you what I mean. If you just look at the scan back at 10:17, doesn't look like much, does it? And then it really begins to tighten up somewhat. And when you get the reds and the greens bright like that and together, right in the middle of those would be where the circulation center is. It could be that the storm is rotating above. It's not 100% chance that it's down to the ground. We'll check some different things on that, but we're going to assume that it is a tornado that's on the ground, the lowest levels of that storm, and then on down to the ground. All right, and we have, moving off to the east, I believe meteorologist James Bryant is with us now. James, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'm with you. I think the rotation continues to strengthen, and I just want to call out a few locations in the tornado warning. This circulation is right over, or just was right over the Bald Knob Refuge, moving east. Right now, it's staying south of Highway 64, south of Warden. However, if you are in Augusta or to the south of Augusta, right there on the White River, please go to your tornado safe place. We had talked about the storms, it's so conditional if storms form. Well, we've got a storm now. It's rotating now. And if it puts down a tornado tonight, it could even be a strong tornado. It could be a tornado that does damage like what we saw up in northwest Arkansas last night, at least in the short term. So if you're in Augusta, if you're just to the south of Augusta, near the Horseshoe Lake boat launch and camp, any of those places right along Highway 33, I would make sure that you, all the way down to Gregory, make sure that you are getting into a safe place right now. We've been showing you the velocity data, and it continues to strengthen. And Barry, I think it's even a little bit better to identify on storm scan if you get a chance to look at that. We do not have a debris signature just yet. We don't have a tornado on the ground right now, but we do know that that can change very quickly. I'll circle the rotation for you. There it is just to the south of Bald Knob. That's going to be very close to the Bald Knob Refuge, and the velocity data may actually be delayed by a little bit more than the reflectivity data. But this is heading in the general direction of Augusta. And if you were along Highway 64, if you're listening to us along Highway 64, I would get to a spot and get to shelter immediately. As Barry was saying, this is going to get very close to the White River here shortly, and it will get out of White County. Those of you in Judsonia, possibly Kensett, and maybe even some of you in Searcy might have gotten the tornado warning alert. This storm is now getting well to the eastern section of White County. This is southeast of Bald Knob, and this is the area of Augusta, just towards the south. And again, if you are anywhere, really anywhere close to Highway 64, I think you've got to be in a safe place right now, Barry. The rotation continues to strengthen, and this is a night where if that continues to occur, and Barry, I think we may have two circulations actually.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
we've got one closer to Highway 64, and we've got another. So we saw this last night in Benton County. We had two tornadoes on the ground at the same time. I don't think we have anything on the ground right now, but it's very possible that we do have two active circulations within this storm.
Yeah, I think so too. And on storm scan, I think I can show it maybe just a touch better if we could go to that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's go back to the storm scan computer if we can. I'll step out of the way here, but I think you're right. We do have that area that is southwest of Augusta. All right, let's just go back to Max 1 then if we can't, guys. Just computer number 1, and I want to show just what James was talking about there. I think the strongest outflow is the south rotation there, well down to the 64. And yeah, it's just hard to, but what you're seeing is two rotations, as he said. They're both south of Highway 64 and moving off to the east. If we go back to computer number 1 and me in front of it, I think we'll get a little better idea. This thing is really moving fairly quickly off to the east as it moves toward Augusta. There we go, and there it is. And this is the area right down here that we're looking at. So let's go back to the velocity product on this. And yeah, the outflow, or the wind coming away from the radar site is really, really strong right there, and there is some coming back in there. So I think that's the main issue. There could be another rotation up here, but this one is the one that we're watching. And as James said, it's along and south of Highway 64. If you're anywhere in that area, over to the White River, and then in Augusta, just go ahead and get into that safe spot now. You're in the tornado warning. This is where it is, and you know the tornado warning is a little bit bigger. There's a lot of spots where it is not within this. We can pinpoint it so well, just giving kind of a broader view right here. You know, on the very south edge of it, there's nothing going on. On the very north edge of it, there's really nothing going on north of Highway 64. But just to the south of it right there, that's the rotating area. It's well off to the east of the 167 corridor. And every subsequent velocity scan that I've seen has really either strengthened or maintained. And I'm just going to back it up for you. You can see, yeah, a little bit more definition with it. I'm going to look for a debris signature on this. We'll go on there, and I can't really see yeah, nothing's terribly apparent right there. You would see a hole kind of in the reflectivity there, and I don't really see that. So what we're hoping is that this is not down to the ground, that it's not lifting debris up into the air. But we're going to assume that it is. Just assume that it is. It's nighttime. There's rain around there. Don't go outside to look. Just get into that safe spot in your house. You get to the lowest floor. You get to the most interior part. And there's the updated tornado warning area that has been issued. But it would be right there that we would see the potential for a tornado as it's moving now off to perhaps the south side of Augusta and homes and farms along the White River. I think that's exactly where we need to be looking as this moves off to the east. I don't want to forget the storm down to the south, but it is not even severe thunderstorm warned. The one that's now from east of Beebe over to Griffithville. It's this storm right here that we're concerned about and the rotation with it. James, you said it best, I think. Every scan, it's gotten a little bit stronger, and the wind's going away from the radar site there. That's in a very tight area, which is concerning.
Yeah, and actually, what we were pointing out, the Weather Service confirmed, we are looking at a anticyclonic.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The one up here spinning the other way, right.
So we could have 2 tornadoes at any minute from this storm as it moves towards the east. I got to tell you, if you're along Highway 64 into Augusta, you have to be in a safe place right now. I don't think we have a tornado down as I'm looking at the current data at the current moment. But I think that could change at any moment. I've circled the 2 areas of rotation. They are both along and southwest of US 64. This is between Bald Knob and Augusta if you're just joining us, and I'll go in and show a little bit of street by street. The northernmost circulation is right over Hurricane Lake Road and just to the south of Warden. And this actually is probably going to be moving not east with the storm, but possibly north. It's not always a straight line. It could be moving northeast towards Highway 64. The stronger circulation is off towards the south there. You see several streets there that get between the eastern section of White County and then the White River. Hurricane Lake Road is one of those. Lone Star Road and Stokes Road are the others. This is going to get into Woodruff County very soon. And as it does so, I expect that tornado potential will continue to increase until the cold front to the west overtakes this storm, changes its current makeup. As of right now, it would surprise me if we don't see a tornado touchdown from this at some point. It's a pretty classic looking supercell. It's moving east. Tornado warning is in effect for 23 more minutes. We have yet to see it cross the White River. And I'll show you there, it just continues to move off towards the east. Very quickly, we are watching other storms develop across the state. There's one storm developing in northern White County along the cold front. The storms to the southwest and to the Cabot area are non-severe. And then other storms are developing across southwest Arkansas with the newest thunderstorm developing over Pike County. There's no rotation with that storm, but it could be a very strong storm as it is in advance of the cold front. And the environment does really support large hail growth and development. Back into the area of Augusta, we're on the White and Woodruff County line. I still think we're looking at 2 circulations, Barry, and as is often the case, the southern circulation, stronger one, it's going to approach the White River here probably within the next 5 minutes. Not a fast-moving storm, so people have time out into the western section of Woodruff County to get to a safe spot. I talked earlier about State Highway 33. You're along and south of State Highway 33. The overall storm motion is southeast. Make sure you are in a safe place as well. Augusta, I would say you're in McCrory. You may not have a tornado warning right now, but it may be about getting in your place all along Highway 64 there towards McCrory. Barry, we're in constant contact with the National Weather Service. This thing continues to strengthen. I'm breaking down the data frame by frame. It comes to me. I've got a lot of different screens in front of me. I still don't see a debris, even though we have a very strong area of rotation. As we've seen last night, we saw a lot of debris signatures, storms that were far away from the radar. So I'm confident that if something gets down, we're going to know it within a few minutes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you would think, and that's good news that we don't see that debris being lofted up into the air, but it's very close now to Augusta. And I'm just going to go to the velocity scan because that's just so much more easy to read. And as James mentioned, there are 2 circulations This one is the traditional counterclockwise, the cyclonic rotation. But there's one right there on the north side that was briefly stronger, which is an anti-cyclonic clockwise rotation. And that occurs occasionally. There's a very small percentage, and it's usually somewhere close to the larger one there. But if there is some small rotation to the north, it pales to what this one is as it moves. In that area from Augusta down to the south, it'll be right over the White River just momentarily. Because there's processing time on this, it probably is over the White River. So if you're from Augusta southward for about, 7, 8 miles, you've got to get in your safe place in the lowest part of your house. If you have a storm cellar, that's great. Not everybody does. So get in the lowest floor of your house, the most interior part of your house, away from exterior walls and windows. And we'll hope to not only see that diminish as it moves, it's not yet though, but we'll also hope for the front, which is chasing this storm from behind, to get closer to it. Still a little ways to go, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. If we look at the radar right now, there is the front, right there. You can see just broken little showers, even one storm trying to develop. It's trying to catch up with this storm. As it does, it would lessen its ability to rotate, but it's back behind it right now. So these storms are out in advance of it, and this one looks like it has the run of the whole area there. It's out by itself, a supercell that doesn't have any competition, and that's what's more worrisome about this storm. These storms down to the south of there, right now, not anything much going on with that. All right, we're getting reports of power lines down in Bald Knob. So I'm going to back this up and show you that, yeah, the storm that's probably about the first signs of it there. It may have had some wind with it as it came on through Bald Knob. But for right now, the area that we're looking at is, yeah, the main rotation is right there. So it's going to be moving into the southern part of Augusta, just out of town there. But if you're in Augusta, just go ahead and get in the safe spot there. There are some streets. There's Highway 33. It will be moving across the river and then across Highway 33. And that's the rotating part. And again, we hope that this is not making it to the ground. But certainly the storm, the parent storm, has what we call a mesocyclone, an area of that storm that is rotating. And if that circulation tightens up, it strengthens, then you can have the condensation funnel, or what we classically see as a tornado, get all the way down to the ground at a much greater speed than the mesocyclone is spinning up above in a much smaller area. So it's not going to be that whole area that has a tornado, but the potential for it really lies somewhere right in the middle as it moves off to the east. And we're waiting for new scans to come in here. I don't see rotation with any of the other storms back behind it, but I do want to keep perspective on this and just show you that the north part of this is probably the hail core. Yeah, there's some mention of some hail up to the north of it, but the velocity part of it is north of Georgetown, south, and just barely south of Augusta is where the center of this is going to go, but it's going to be very close to Augusta, and then McCrory's on over to the east, and so eventually it would be making its way there as it exits White County. That last scan, yeah, maybe some weakening, but the couplet is still very, very close. If you have any damage, do not put yourself in danger before the storm passes, but after it passes, be very careful. If there are power lines down, to not endanger yourself. But if you have any reports, you can always contact us via social media on Facebook, James and I, and we'll pass along those reports. And if you have any photos of damage, send them to us at katv.com/chime-in. But our most pressing concern, James, is this storm crossing the White River, and it looks like to me Augusta and just south. That's the area that needs to be especially in their safe spot.
Right. This is coming out of the Hurricane Lake Wildlife Management Area. That's the forested area you see on our satellite picture bordering the White River. And on the east side of the White River, you've got Augusta. Now, I do think this circulation is moving east, but sometimes these things can turn towards the north. So I want everyone in Augusta to be in their safe place. On the south side of Augusta, you've got State Highway 33. you've got Horseshoe Lake, and you got the Horseshoe Lake boat launch and camp. If you're anywhere in that vicinity, make sure that you're in a safe place, because that is the exact spot that this area of rotation is headed for. State Highway 33 runs towards the south. You've got Gregory Farm Road, you got County Road 724, and you've got County Road 260. You've got Lake Road on the east side of Horseshoe Lake. If you are in any of those places, please take your tornado precautions right now, because I think this is going to be moving very closely. There's some of the streets that I was just talking about. Again, this is moving towards the east, so I think Augusta may be spared here, but areas near Horseshoe Lake on the east side of that's the east side, or south side rather, of Augusta. This is right on the east side of the White River, coming into Woodruff County. That's what we're watching. I'm watching it frame by frame. We still do not have a debris signature. The circulation right now is crossing over the White River. It is probably over the White River. And very strong rotation there, coming up on County Road 89 and County Road, and then eventually into State Highway 33. If you were further towards the east, until the front catches up with this, I think it's going to continue to rotate. So if you were further towards the east, along Highway 64, not only Highway 64, but um, the state highway right here, 260. Go ahead and take your safe spot. Get to your safe spot right now. Of course, in eastern Arkansas, this is a largely agricultural area, a lot of wildlife management areas, a beautiful part of our state. And if you happen to know someone that lives there on the south side of Augusta, they need to be in their tornado safe spot. We really hope that nothing like what happened early this morning in North Arkansas with the loss of life, eight lives lost early this morning in North Arkansas. We hope nothing like that happens. But these tornadoes, if one gets down tonight, could be strong. We still have just an area of rotation that's moving towards the east. I'm looking at, again, tons of data. As of right now, 10:47 p.m., I don't see debris signature with this. So as of this moment right now, tornado, but area of rotation is very now much into Woodruff County, and this is on the south side of Augusta. And Augusta, this is not far from you. In fact, I'll show you exactly how far away it is. This is 3 miles to your south, so this is not far, and this is going to be moving off towards the east here, right along Arkansas Highway 260 in the next 10 to 15 minutes. It is going to cross Arkansas State Highway 33 as it moves towards the east. As of right now, this is the only storm that has had very strong rotation. Fortunately, storms off towards the west not rotating as much, and they're kind of starting to form into lines, and that is what you want to see. You don't want to see storms out all by themselves. This storm still very much is pretty much all by itself as far as the area of the that we really worry about. McCrory, I'd go ahead and get in my tornado safe spot. Just as this storm moves towards the east, there's the area of rotation. Going to head towards Grays. McCrory maybe just to the north of the area of rotation. There's no tornado warning for McCrory just yet, but this is a very dangerous thunderstorm, likely producing large hail up towards Riverside, Arkansas Highway 17, and on the east side of Augusta. I think we're probably still as well. So still very strong rotation. It's probably going to stay that way or cycle through several times and something disrupts it. Could be thunderstorm, could be front, but we have that very strong area of rotation now coming up on Arkansas State Highway 30, County Road 899. And as you look at Arkansas State Highway 33, as you go east towards Grays, there are homes out there who are in any of these places. Please do yourself a favor and take your tornado safe spot. Get to your tornado safe spot. I think we're passing right over a Horseshoe Lake right about now. And Barry, I'm as you are reading used to say, and they have put out a tornado watch for a few counties in eastern Arkansas. Um, Scans above the surface are still holding strong with some
Yeah.
very strong rotation. So that time sometimes takes time to get down to the ground. And there's your new tornado warning, by the way. That includes a lot more of Woodruff County. So phones are
Yeah.
now going off in McCrory, and a lot more of Woodruff County. This goes all the way to the county line, and this tornado warning is going to be in effect probably for a good deal of time more until 11:30. Patterson and McCrory both included. Area of rotation now approaching State Highway 33 just to the south of Augusta. Barry, it's our hope the
Exactly.
cold front catches up with this soon because we do not need any more tornadoes after what we've dealt with the last 24 hours.
Right. Cold front's still back behind it just a little bit, so it's not out there. But one thing, James, that hopefully will happen, this area of showers, kind of an elongated area of non-severe thunderstorms, it's stretching down from that. Hopefully this begins to kind of catch up and form into one line, because this would disrupt this storm. It has unimpeded airflow into it right now, but it would disrupt it if we can get rain to break out, those storms to kind of merge along one line, and that would destroy a lot of the rotation, I think, with this. But it hasn't happened yet. Again, you just said that the tornado warning has been extended out. I just want to give you kind of perspective on that as it moves out, and then we'll go back to our velocity scan. One thing that the National Weather Service is talking about with this is that the lowest scan of the radar, it's not as apparent as it was, but the leftovers of it would be right there along Highway 33, but it's not as apparent as it was, and I'll show you just what I mean by that. I'm going to go back just a couple of frames, and you can see, yeah, just a little bit ago, it was pretty apparent, right? And now it gets here, and it's not quite as apparent, but in the upper levels, if you tilt the beam up and go up another 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 feet, the parent storm is still rotating above. It may just not be getting all the way down to the ground. But whether or not that's happening, this is a tornado-warned storm, and it could very easily, if it's not producing a tornado now, it could within the span of time of 30 seconds or so. So right there, along 260 and headed over to McCrory, this is the time to go ahead and get into that safe spot. It's just not as apparent as it was, and we hope that this has some sort of disruption that's starting to get worked its way into that, but it hasn't done that yet, and you can kind of get the overview of this big supercell with this coming down. But what we'll watch is the southern side of these storms right here and the ability of that rain to kind of get up into the circulation of this. I'll back out just a little more, and I'll show you where the front is. It's right there, okay? So there are some showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm along that, but it's trying to catch up, and it just hasn't yet. And so these are out in advance of the storm. We don't want to forget all the other storms. There is another tornado-warned storm, not in our viewing area now, but it's up into Clay County and into Greene County in northeast Arkansas in a very highly unstable area. And then we'll watch these storms back in southwest Arkansas. There's no rotation at all with these. I don't think this is as conducive an area for tornado development, but there could be some strong thunderstorms that eventually kind of work into a line and move on down through. But that's not our concern right now, although we'll watch southwest Arkansas for those storms. The rotation that I'm seeing right now as I look at another source over here is not what it was. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a tornado, and we're going to be talking about what the National Weather Service. Okay, yeah, the National Weather Service just what I just pointed out to you says that cold front is apparent from Rosebud to Pangburn to Oil Trough, a new downstream tornado warning into Woodruff County right there. But let's go zooming in here on the area that we're most concerned about, and if you're in your, you need to be in your safe spot from Highway 33 right there along 260 and over to McCrory. These are small communities there out to the southwest of McCrory, but a number of folks living along the highway there, and a new tornado warning is in effect. And again, you go to the lowest floor of your house, you go to the most interior part, away from exterior walls and windows, and if you saw tornado damage perhaps from northwest Arkansas last night, a lot of homes, roofs exploded off, outside walls, destroyed, but small areas within the middle of the house, closet, bathroom, something like that, can very well withstand many tornadoes if they occur. This is the area we're watching. It is not the rotation that we saw earlier. That is great news, but we are not going to let the guard down right now on this. Another thing that we can look at is I'm going to look for a scan, just a rotation. Yeah, I'm looking on another computer actually, and that's exactly where there is some minor rotation, and it's right in here. It's a lot more diffuse than it was, but there's the next scan right there, and it doesn't look like it's strengthened, but I want you to stay in that safe spot right there, kind of in the middle of that new tornado warning that's moving down, and it could be anywhere along there. There's obviously a little rotation there. It's more difficult to see than it was. James, I always like it when it's more difficult to see it because it probably means that it's losing some of that. And I am just wondering if this rain is catching up with this. There's rain breaking out down here. If it's starting to pull in just slightly cooler air into that storm. And hopefully it's trying to wreck that storm.
Yeah, so that's what I have drawn on here right now is the storms that have developed off towards the southwest. I think got pulled into the inflow of the storm that is moving into western Woodruff County, and that's all you need. Even in a perfect tornado environment, you don't always get tornadoes because something can disrupt it. So we still have very broad rotation along Highway 260 there as we're going towards Revel and Grays, and we're moving towards the east towards McCrory. There's still rotation. It is a lot weaker, and I think that's because the warm inflow has been interrupted, if you will, by the storms towards the southwest of Georgetown. So that's some great news. This line of storms has really we started with a couple of supercells, and now we've gotten numerous storms, and along that line, there's really not been a whole lot of other rotating areas. There's just been this one spot that has rotated, and now as we look from the Memphis radar, we've got a new little appendage that's starting to break out from the storm that's on the eastern side of Woodruff County, on the east side of McCrory, southeast side of McCrory. We'll watch that for rotation. Well, I still don't want anyone that's in Woodruff County to let their guard down for the moment. I have seen storms ramp back up very quickly, produce tornadoes. This one is capable of doing so in an environment that it is in tonight. We hope that environment's not going to be around much longer. We have a cold front on the way, and there's your broad area of rotation. Again, just towards the west of Grays, that's south of Arkansas Highway 260. Going to approach Grays at the intersection of 260 and Arkansas Highway 17. We hope the rotation continues to weaken. That is the best case scenario. Last night, it's this morning from 1 a.m. until about 6 in the morning, there was a supercell that went through North Arkansas that just would not quit. It one county to the next and ended up with over 100,000 people without power, and we lost 8 lives. Barry, today is the deadliest tornado day, the Valonia tornado 2014. So it's our deadliest tornado day in 10 years. We don't need any more tornadoes, and we hope that tonight this tornado threat is short-lived. And as storms, if they can become more numerous, that is a good sign. I know these thunderstorms may be strong, but the more storms they are, the more we have for storm interactions that erupt tornadoes.
Yeah, what you're showing there to the southwest of McCrory, there is still some wind going away from the radar site and some going toward it. It's just not what it was. And the more that looks like just one continuous line, the better. And then the front is not back very far behind that, and we hope that catches up too. We are looking at that storm though in southwest of Arkadelphia, out to the west of Arkadelphia too. James, thoughts on that storm? It is a storm that's kind of out by itself. I just don't know that the atmosphere is is as right. I won't say it's completely terrible, but as right for tornado development in that part of the state. Would you agree?
Yeah, the main system responsible for all this has been in the Ohio Valley. That's where most of the severe weather has occurred. As you get further away from that system, you start to lose the wind energy. So your best pocket of wind energy is up here towards the east of Little Rock. And that's why we have tornado warned storms in eastern Arkansas and off towards the northeast. As you get down into southwest Arkansas, these storms are still in an extremely unstable environment. I mean, I've stepped outside today. You've stepped outside today. It's extremely humid. But the wind's energy is not as great across the southwest part of the state. So while a tornado can't be ruled out, it is not as likely as areas further towards the east and northeast. And as I zoom out and just kind of give you the idea of what's happened in the Ohio Valley today, there have been numerous thunderstorms that have gone through Missouri with numerous tornadoes, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky. That's where the main show was today. Further towards the south, storm development was expected to be more isolated, and it has been. There haven't been very many storms, but we do have just a few storms out there. I think the storm that's going to be on the south side of Lake DeGray and going to approach Arkadelphia, I think it could eventually produce some large hail before it gets embedded into a line of storms eventually as these move into South Arkansas. We'll always be watching for a tornado threat, but for the most part, I think down there, the tornado threat is lower. We still have, I think, rotation that's in Woodruff County, and still have some inflow there into the storm just to the south of McCrory. The rotation itself, not what it was, but it's still dangerous and still deserves your attention here in Woodruff County. That's along Arkansas Highway 260. And this is going to continue moving east. And as Barry said, he put it very well. As long as we just continue looking more like just a big blob of rain. Not possible for storms to produce tornadoes that way, but it becomes a lot more difficult. And Barry, I believe the National Weather Service is going to let this tornado warning go because that's storm capability to produce a tornado appears to have been interrupted.
Yeah, they're looking at the same things we are. They do a great job, but there is no more tornado warning with this storm. There still is a severe thunderstorm warning, that yellow polygon right there. And so if you're on the south side of McCrory, I just say just let the storm pass by. There still is some wind probably coming out of that, but we're not seeing the tight couplet, the winds returning back to the radar in that very small area. And so that's great. That's just a great sign. And the disruption from the storms just to the southwest of that, boy, that was really our friend tonight as these storms move through. And I don't see any sign of rotation on the storms that are moving down into the northern part of Prairie County. So those are just thunderstorms. There could be gusty winds with those. We've seen that. We've had a lot of rain recently. There could be some gusty winds that push trees over or take branches out of trees. And certainly that's the case within the severe thunderstorm warning. But boy, that is a great sign there with these storms. This is, the watch has been extended, as James said. And I want to go in and just show you exactly what we're talking about as far as the severe storms are concerned. But the watch was just extended down about a row of counties for Lonoke, Prairie, into Monroe County. But for right now, Lonoke County, you're kind of behind that storm. Now, the front itself has yet to go through. These storms are in advance of the front. And I think I can show you the front fairly well also. As we look into this area, yeah, the front is right here. So there could be additional storms that develop along it, but the greater instability will be out along this storm, and it's all moving into one area. Again, that's a severe thunderstorm warned storm. We're going to be watching this. We're going to send you back to programming coming up in just a little bit because there's no apparent rotation with that, certainly not strong enough. And the National Weather Service has let that that tornado warning go. If you're in Woodruff County, I just want you to be aware. Nothing looks like a rotating thunderstorm there to me, but just be aware that you're still in a severe thunderstorm warning for a little while. We're going to be watching this very closely as we head through the next little bit. It's just after 11 o'clock right now. And we'll also watch the possibility of the storms, or the line of storms back behind it, or the front itself, which has a little line of storms catching up with this, and just everything forming into one line. That doesn't end our severe weather threat, because along that you can have winds that begin to bow out, and you can have some threat for hail, although I think that is diminishing somewhat, and you can have brief tornadoes along that line as well. I'll give you an overview of the entire state, and we'll watch those storms in southwest Arkansas as well. James, anything else that you see there with that storm?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. I've been looking at the storms in northeast Arkansas, and that development up there
Yeah.
A lot of that is along the cold front. And so as the cold front moves through areas further towards the southwest, it may spark new thunderstorm development,
Yeah.
even as it moves through central Arkansas.
Right.
We just don't think the tornado threat, at least after a few minutes, is going to be very high, because I think storms are going to be pretty numerous. And we've got now quite a few thunderstorms out there. We've seen a lot of severe weather the last few days. I think any storm that reaches its full potential could produce hail and or wind. But fortunately for now, that tornado risk is winding down. And Barry, we thought any storm that could get going during the early and mid-evening hours would have a higher tornado threat. It's
Right.
11 o'clock now. That threat slowly is going to start to wind down.
I think it did use up some of the last little bit of that super high instability. And so hopefully that is the case. Woodruff County, you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to continue to watch this, but we are going to send it back to regular programming right now. Leave it right here. We are not leaving. We're just going to be looking for storms that pose a life-threatening risk. And for right now, we think that these storms in Woodruff County have diminished somewhat. We'll send you back to programming. We'll keep an eye on it for you.